Welcome back, everybody. We are rocking in live with more North American PPL, our summer split, and we just witnessed Splyce so close to a set victory, but getting defeated by Renegades.
And that gives me actually a little bit more hope for them coming into this one, because Renegades was looking like one of the top teams, especially towards the end of last split. The way things have been on the rise for them, they are a solid team. So losing to them, but taking it as far as they did is impressive. Coming up against SK, that's where things start to open up, I think, a lot more for Splyce.
Yep, we just witnessed Splyce within the last set. Now they have a whole new opponent in SK, and SK has had some changes to them between last split and now.
That's, I think, the interesting thing. They picked up Wardoom. And so he's going to be switching, I want to say, not a 180, I guess, but you'll see a lot of highlights of him on front lines. Not what he's going to be playing at all today. He's going to be on the supports. He's going to be healing.
That's what we heard, yeah, that he's going to be playing support in these games. And really, anyone that's in the PPL, they can play anything. Yeah. It's just a matter of comfort of what fits best. And we've talked a lot about the fact that a lot of this comes down to personality and making sure they mesh. And Bitey mentioned it in his interview that he had with Pretty Hair, how that's a lot of what ends up actually influencing how a team does.
And I remember him actually saying this, and I think this is actually really big, specifically with the Wardoom pickup, is that he is firm in that belief that, you can't really just test out a team for a split and know whether or not it's going to be successful. You need to have that building period where, okay, those 5 weeks, that's your building period. The next split, you have to perform, or else then you start looking at changes. And he even said, he feels kind of awkward when it's proposing those changes, because once you get to know these guys, I mean, they're your friends. You're playing with them every single day.
And that's the hard thing. We even talk as casters sometimes. It's difficult making predictions stuff because you really end up liking the players that you're seeing. So when you're on the team with them and then you're a leader, and Bitey has just been known to be such a heavy leader on whatever team he's on, having a very strong influence over the decisions being made. Yeah. So that means he has to stand up and say those things. If something's not working in your roster, then you got to shout it out.
And it's just one of those things. Now having Wardoom, probably not, I want to say, the most comfortable or the most natural pickup, but something that it seemed like they were working on and that they feel a lot more comfortable with now. It was one of those things, especially, again, in that interview, Bitey had said that he doesn't really like moving people around on roles, so their team is going to pretty much be consistent. Wardoom is the one who had to change coming into it, but it still kind of begs to question how they want to run this and how they might change up their drafting style to fit it.
And I guess this means we won't see Wardoom in the G2 scarf anymore.
Nope, SK's going to have to pick up their scarf game, aren't they?
Yeah, they got to get
it. That's the only logical step.
He pulls off that look so well. It's freaking crazy. Well, let's take a look at where we're actually going for our best-of-5 set. Between SK and Splyce, first, it's going to be Fish Market.
Are we sure that this is actually happening?
Yeah, Brightmarsh and Frogal are banned away, too.
I can understand that, but, I mean, Fish Market? Like, that's the actual pick. So that's impressive. I don't know if I've seen any of these teams opt to go to Fish Market in a long time, and definitely not for the first map.
Starting off with a very niche pick that we usually do see kind of if you go to that 4th or 5th game, immediately deciding to ban away the Strix. And if Kinessa doesn't get banned, well, they actually take both off. I was going to say if they don't ban away Kinessa, then maybe that means they're looking to play it, but I guess not.
This to me means two things. One is that SK did their homework, because if I had just seen that Splitstone Quarry map with Ricotta on Strix, I wouldn't want him to have either of those snipers. But it also, to me, means that they have something standing out. Like, we have a plan for this map, but we know the snipers are a problem. We don't want to pick them up, but we know that they would cause too much trouble if we don't have one. So just get rid of them, and let's go for the con.
And SK, during the Las Vegas event that we had, was actually the first to bring Con to the professional level play table, and it was Bitey. They seemed like they were still trying to work through things. I think everyone in general was attempting to figure out what style Con was meant to be a part of. Yeah. So maybe now with this time, the changes that you've made to the roster and everything, they've got something figured out.
It definitely has kind of shifted. I think the way Na'Vi plays it is the standard that we're going to be seeing a lot more out of this con. It's one of those moments where if you play him really aggressive, he just doesn't get anywhere near as much done as you would like. He is definitely this kind of side off tank. He can do a lot of damage, but you don't want him to be the main focus of the damage for too long.
Securing the Geno-Zin combination on the side of SK, as well as the Maldamba-Inara combination on the side of Splyce. Two very different strategies, but two that have proven to be quite effective over time.
I'm kind of curious to see SK. I mean, the first time they ran a solo con did not, again, like you said, work out too well for them. And honestly, when you look at a lineup of Cassie, Sha, Lin, those two, once they go together, become kind of difficult to deal with, difficult to win against. You get a Leon, which I think is a little curious as a closer, but Moldamba and Nara, very solid lineup from Splyce.
Maybe we'll get to see some Bitey Zin action, and I would really love to see that personally. I know he's got a love for that champion. But as far as these two lineups, who are you favoring?
Honestly, I love the way SK has drafted it. It definitely feels kind of like the new take on things. But I think Splyce just have a much stronger 4 out of 5.
Well, no point in waiting around, eh? So let's go ahead and hop into game number 1 of this best-of-5 set.
Fish Markets, where we're going to do some business today. SK and Splyce, they've got a date with death.
Game 1.
Game 1.
Meet me down by the docks.
Meet me down by the docks at
Game
Fish
1.
Market. Don't bring nobody.
They brought 5 bodies, 10 bodies even.
Yeah, so that was totally not the plan that they had. So
That's
this
what
is all
happens.
off
They were
kilter.
supposed to come alone.
Come alone.
Don't bring anybody. They brought a whole crew of champions of the realm, the most notorious people in the realm.
Wow.
And so naturally it turned into a fight.
And naturally, this is, now going to settle it all, right? The dock will be won by one of these teams. And with SK grabbing Wardoom, Genos, I think, is a great support for him to position on to start this off.
Yeah, very interesting composition from SK Gaming, just given their history and trying to figure out, what these guys are going to be running going into the split. They have a lot of questions to answer. Wardoom had played 1 week of support with G2 in the spring split, but then went right back to frontline, has played frontline before then leading up to that moment and every single week afterwards. So how does he slide in? Granted, Genos is not a very hard character. Let's just be honest with ourselves. And I think Wardoom is a pretty smart player, and he'll do just fine.
Well, look at that. I mean, 1,035 on those bombs. Boy, oh boy, that does not feel good. I missed the items for Invocal, but I think he is running Cauterize. No real reason to run Wrecker. And Cauterize on Bomb King, it's just so damning. You show up, and they have nothing they can do. You can't out-heal it. Right now, you can't out-DPS Ricotta on this Leon. He's been phenomenal today. Picks up the first blood.
Bitey gets absolutely exploded there, almost 100 to 0'd. Shady Shade's looking for an angle. Not seeing anything he really likes.
No.
Wi-Fi's headed down to the objective because SK are already bleeding 99% to nothing.
Dear gosh, this is definitely some bloody water at the docks, I would say. Not looking good for SK Gaming. They're not in the lead here. It's Splyce who dominate the first round and really show up big. Again, Ricotta having a nice performance on Leon, but more so, what was the plan and what went wrong? It was 90% before they even stepped on.
There was no plan. That was the plan.
Bitey died, really.
I just feel like that's what's that. I hate seeing that against these Inara comps that just park Inara there. It's like you got to abuse that like it is a 4v5. You have a lot of mobility. Bomb King, Buck, and Zin. Hell, even Khan can get in there with his old clunker dash, but you got to get in there and mix it up. I think before that becomes a problem of 90% when Wi-Fi has to dash down into the objective just to die to, go through the motions and not letting the point go for free.
Absolutely, and credit where credit's due. Ozone has been doing very well on this Shaolin. He's made it difficult. He's made 2v1s, and Bitey on his lonesome flank has not worked. Shady Shade's not looking as tanky as we usually see Bucks looking. Not sure if he is running that bulk up style. I would assume he is.
Pretty sure he Mutu sometimes runs and snare.
Death and Taxes will do that, though, I guess.
That's about it. Bitey pinned to the floor there. Beautiful presence from Ricotta as he heads to the back line now. Gets surprised as Shady Shade rotates back out of spawn. Gets the jump to even up the scoreline. Nice blast shot connecting from distance. And the flexibility of Splyce continuing to be put on display here as Shadow now playing the Cassie, allowing Ozone to move around. And, man, what a more effective roster they seem to be.
Yeah, great pickup for them. And obviously this Toxicity roster now transitioning into the PPL has had a lot of time to build rapport with one another, build synergy, and have the same ideals going into matchups such as these.
Plus, let's be real. I mean, SK had a terrible spring split, and then they made a roster change. So what's to say they're going to start off even as strong as they weren't in the spring split?
It's very true. Wardoom coming in, but not on that typical front line. We see him setting the pace so often for G2, and now in the backside with these Luminary marks. Yes, they're going on to the damage dealers, but Shady Shades is looked relatively average here today, and Vocal not quite getting it going as well. Wardoom gets running away, and Wi-Fi on this solo con has not been the first pick they've hoped it would be. This is looking like a 2-0.
That's not how you, I think, you need to run this solo con either. It needs to enable this Xin, this Bomb King, this Buck as well. You pair the Luminary with the bonus damage from Khan, and you have an absolute wrecking ball on your hands. And that's the difference I want to see this round from SK. I want to see them take initiative here. They have the comeback mechanic to play with, so they can take their damn time winning the fight, but just get it done on the 4v5 scenario.
And they're going to have the scout from Cassie to deal with as well, which is going to be difficult. Ozone just almost charging up that heat haze, and Shaolin just gets the drop on you once, and he's starting to show some swagger, as you can see in the cards and in the play style. He will burn down Shady Shades. Death and Taxes being a big key for limiting, I think, the effectiveness Khan has to stay alive. So Wi-Fi, you're right, has to play aggressive. He's got to make a move early.
Side note, I love the bullseye card art. Reminds me of you and I.
Yeah.
Doesn't it a little bit?
Yeah, a little
Guess
bit.
I'll die now.
Guess I'll die now.
Later, dudes.
And level 5 as well, so he's resetting it all. What a card art. Ozone already with the withdraw, looking for something. Oh, through time and space, and he, wow, could have canceled that planet, but maybe just accepted his fate.
I will die on this hill, brother. Completely roasted there. He would have had to probably withdraw at that point. SK Gaming bulldozed through Splyce, but they use a bunch of ultimates to do it, and I think Splyce were maybe accepting of that, wanted to get the quick reset in, but on Fish Market with comeback mechanic, not a whole lot you can do.
Very difficult place to fight away from when you are trying to hit towards the point. And Vocal doing a great job of poking down frontliners, poking down damage dealers. They already get the kill, but Ozone trades on to Bitey, so you still don't know where this is going. A dash available for Cassie. No, and Vocal can't quite get the damage or the stun. The spray is here, and he's going to the high ground, dropping to the low with the bombs. Great chase on Shadow, but it's still not complete. Shadow trading out with Wi-Fi with just a sliver of health.
He can't be allowed to live here. Bombs from distance, just not enough. He's getting tagged up with heals, and Shadow is going to live. Splyce are going to take back control of the objective. Vocal barely lives with his own life. But my goodness, what a dropped kill.
And I mean, good plays here from Invocal and Ozone to stay alive, but Shadow, really, he's been the star for me. He's looked good on Xin. He's looked great on Cassie. He's played the Drogos for them and looked phenomenal, coming in really being a star for this team. And now Rakata going in with the Enlightenment. He's going to go down to Bitey, though. Overtime ticking away, and Splyce desperately trying to make this a 3-0.
Shadow, again, in a rough spot here. He realizes it's not being communicated to Wardoom. Wardoom,
oh my, the loop-de-loops.
Little cross-eyed there. Shadow is going to fall eventually. Straight to the point. Bitey trying to keep this overtime rolling for his team, but Splyce have brought it back against literally all odds.
And you need a play. You need a play here, and you can't get one. The Dread Serpent from its aspect cleans things up, sends everyone running in fear, and they 3-0 currently. SK Gaming with a chance to push it in for a victory.
What an absolute beast of a support today. His ultimates have been on point. He bails out Shadow as well with a couple of great heals. I can't believe that Splyce on this map. It was that comeback mechanic. Sheesh.
It was that Shadow play. I mean, the fact that they let Shadow go and then he trades out with Wi-Fi there as he's dead to rights. But the wherewithal of Shadow.
Gets out. It's not even a trade.
Let's look at Shadow a little bit here. I mean, the Bomb King itemization, Blast Shields, beautiful choice by him because he knows that Invocal's trying to finish him off. He doesn't live if he doesn't have that 14% damage reduction in his pocket. So great adjustment there, and now still probably the highest KDA on all of Splyce, running a very similar build we've seen, but also Fatal Sign. I'll tell you what, that's not something that most Cassies run, and I like it.
No, and he's going to be able to just keep the momentum rolling. I think it's an interesting replacement for like Quiver, right?
Oh,
where
God.
You just want more ammo. However you get it is up to you, but very snowbally style of build. Splyce slam dunk a 4-0 home over SK Gaming.
And Nick, do you think this says more about Renegades and their level of play, Splyce, their dominance and their performance here today in their opener, or SK and their inability to get it going?
That was a bad game from SK. I think that's a bad game. I don't think there's any timeline where you give up, you have a strong zone set up, comeback mechanic on Fish Market, all of that working for you, and you lose that point. That's a mistake on your end.
Well, it's been a rough start for SK. It's been a rough finish to the last season as well. But Splyce get a good win that should give them some hope moving on to the rest of this set. Let's send it back to the desk and break down game one.
We've seen these moments from Splyce before, looking fairly strong, but SK a little shabby.
It's a little weird to think that today, like, both sets have started off with a 4-0, and if this one takes the route that the last one took, then we are going to be in it for the long haul. But it's just impressive to see what Splyce has been able to pick up and the way that they've learned. Again, this is a team that, while they hadn't found success in that very first set, they definitely showcased exactly what they're about, and I think this is going to be the best split for them.
Yeah, and Splyce, if you take a look at Ozone and how he was performing on that Shaolin, even in the end, had a heavy streak going for himself, landing where he needed to, positioning nicely, getting value out of his ultimates as well.
And, you know, we'll even glance over the planted while you just stood in the through space and time. I don't know if his withdrawal was up. I feel like that one is very much a reaction-based thing. If you see that and you're a very comfortable I play Shaolin all the time player, that's a cancel planted, withdraw out of it, and you're going to be safe. For the most part, no one's going to be able to do that at the tip of the hat and just be able to go, okay, this is exactly the play we're going to make. Taking that shot, with the way the performance went, it was worth it.
And you're looking at the way that the members of Splyce were looking calm and cool and collected and actually just kind of going forward with the aggression that they wanted, where on the side of SK, they had some moments where questionable decision-making seemed a bit rough, not all as a unit, and that's where they got punished.
And that, I think, was the big thing. Like, you kind of, Evan asked Nick at the end of it, was it Splyce playing ridiculously well, or was it SK not playing up to par? And I kind of think it was a little bit of both. I think Splyce played that really well.
Yeah, you don't want to take that away from them.
But SK did not feel like, even the SK that we saw at Vegas, even the SK that had, trouble against Gangstars. And that's actually part of the reason I think they might still end up facing a lot of trouble against Splyce. Obviously, they have already, but coming into that, I mean, this is a team that regularly beat Gangstars. So coming into this, they definitely have, I want to say, just a little bit of a leg up, but there's always bounce back potential.
Yeah, as we've seen in the past, a 4-0 in game one doesn't necessarily mean a victory for the set. So while Timbermill ended up, or not Timbermill, Fish Market rather, ended up going in the favor of Splyce, we're now heading off to Ascension Peak.
I feel like Timbermill would fit perfectly as a third map for this, though, because it's like,
Right?
okay, well, here's a map that no one ever goes to in Fish Market. Here's a map that's been banned out a lot the past, well, I mean, it's only been 2 days, but it's still been banned out a lot. That plus the lands, no one really went to Ascension Peak too often, so coming here now, again, this is definitely shaping up to be a different set, but this is one of SK's, I think the one that they took it to that has been an impressive map for them.
And they don't want the con this time, so instead they ban it away. An Ascension Peak, we've seen, as you said, SK on it before, performing fairly well and managing to actually, especially whether you're on the offense or defense, locating all the different ways that you need to be accessing the actual objective and always keeping an eye on those effectively.
I'm kind of curious as to what pickups we're going to see. I mean, Cassie has made her way into the first for SK, but this is a map where flanks are going to be good, and at the same time they can be bad depending on the routes that you take and, again, using those pathways, using those angles for you. This is a very solid map for so many different drafts that even when you get, like, oh, hey, here are the 10 top picks, kind of like what we saw for the last game, you never really know who's going to be able to actually get that leg up.
Yeah, everyone's still figuring it out a little bit, and Kinessa has also been a popular pick on Ascension Peak. Makes it a little awkward in some portions of whether the defense or offense just on the push, because there are some places where when you're the sniper, you're having a hard time finding any angle, but as far as surrounding the actual capture point, or especially there in the end moments of the push, very effective.
And this is another pick that, again, yesterday I was saying I had a list on maps. I was saying, where are we going to see Kinessa still? Where are we not going to see her? Is she still going to be as effective? And this is one of those maps that I'm like, I don't know where she sits, because a lot of the vantage points she had onto the point, that zoom increase is going to be good for finding headshots and getting a lot more damage there, but it also kind of cuts off some of the other pathways she would have taken.
And with the composition so far on the side of SK, it looks like they're rounding it out with Terminus, so a lot of weight on those big, bulky shoulders.
I kind of like the way they've taken this. I mean, this is very similar. Take out the con, swap it for Terminus. Take out the Buck, swap it for Cassie. And I think this is a better entire loadout for SK with the way things are going. I think it's a lot more for the map than their last pickup.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, let's send ourselves into game number 2 of the set.
Well, SK got questions to answer. I'm not the one that's going to answer them for them. They got to do it themselves. Splyce have also really had a nice performance here to start out. I think it's given a lot of optimism to Splyce fans around the world, just seeing, hey, this is going to be a great season for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And they start coming, kind of hit the ground running. I think it's a great roster. I think there's a lot of talent here, and they're only going to get better and better. We know they have the work ethic definitely on this roster to make themselves in the conversation. I mean, how quick were Envy able to do it? They give me They give me a lot of sort of parallels. I see a lot of Envy in this team. They're very hungry to prove themselves.
It's interesting because, with Splyce, I see the same drive, the same hunger. I wonder, can they have Envy's discipline, even achieving success. Once they achieve it, can they still maintain it? It's always one thing to get here. It's the next thing that what do you do when you are here? And that's what I want to see from them day in and day out, the stats, the coaching, the analysis. It'll be an interesting one as we head here.
And when it doesn't go well, also, you got to be able to bounce back. And let's not get ahead of ourselves. Splyce haven't won jack yet. They still got to get this first W. First shot connects for Ozone. A blessing, a boon of good luck.
And on Ascension Peak, maybe blessed by the rabbit gods, the scorpion gods. Maybe a little bit of both, but Invocal seems to have the favor right now. He finds the kill in the shadow to start out, and Ozone getting pressured by the Cassie from range.
And this is a good map for SK. Let's call it like it is here. They have been kind of out in front of everyone when it comes here. I believe this was one of their few map wins at the Masters LAN, came on Ascension Peak against G2. 54% here, climbing and climbing.
Good awareness. Uh-oh. Bad stuff, though, Nick. Gets poked out a little bit. The Kinessa is here. Shady Shade's getting low. Kata's going to round this corner potentially. No Zone spots him out. He should be dead to rights. Nice roll, avoids both of them. I think maybe Splyce take their foot off the gas a little too early there.
66% now for SK Gaming climbing. Wi-Fi trying to clamber his way back onto this objective, but he's just a lone terminus. Looking for the angles now. Ozone with much more aggressive positioning earlier, potentially to be punished by SK if they can find the rotation on
Very much so. SK look like they're sending Invocal forwards and everyone else staying near the point, protecting their position. And Invocal here now getting really crazy with this flank, the back line, and they're going to have to make a move with him, and this is what Baity's doing. They're putting pressure on both sides. There's nowhere he can go. Headhunter here popped, looks for the shot, but he can't get it. Invocal finds the kill, and SK Gaming looking good to take point one.
Transported right into him. Shady Shade's find Rukata, and everyone has to retreat directly into Invocal. Double kill for Shady. Baity locks him down, serves him up, and Shady knocks it home.
And that's just a great play. One of the things I mentioned quickly there, but to break down the way they pincered Ozone, and they both approached. Invocal took the long way around, the road less traveled. But I love the way that Baity still says, I'm going to throw just one shot of fire in there from the sword. Just make you feel that I'm there so you don't know where to look. And it ends up being a very nice panic situation they create for the backline sniper.
And this is how SK tend to take their pushes. Here comes a seismic crash, though. SK like to move up through this palace. Another great flank here from SK Gaming is going to pay off. 2 already for Baity, and he could easily find more.
Just be careful you don't get that Bugsy moment where you go off the map. However, I think Baity is trained with Lord Zin enough. And he and his squad are going to delete Shadow in vain. Splyce going down. SK Gaming going up for the first time. And what feels like forever, a little bit of an emote around the corner to get some vision. This is the last kind of and most important chokehold on this map. Very easy to defend from these heights.
How long can they last? How quick can Splyce adapt? I don't think this is their map. I think that's clear to see, and perhaps the same could be said for SK Gaming on Fish Market. Maybe that was just Splyce's map to take.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised if we see another 4-0 here on Ascension Peak.
I mean, it's such a common thing, right? That maps giving you that advantage, or just how you pick a champion, how you feel with a champion, what the routes that you know. I think that is definitely feasible and reasonable to consider. Baity here very low, making it out with just a few slivers of health, which is another Shadow moment. But Shadow cleans him up, says, no, I'm the only one to make it out with that low health, Baity.
Yeah.
In this set.
Especially maps like Fish Market and Ascension Peaks. Those are pretty polarizing one, right? Doesn't exactly happen, I don't think, on Jag Falls too often. You're not catching anyone too off guard there, but 46 on the clock for SK to get this one home.
Well, it's a really rare moment in this map where you actually, it's not rare, it's very common, where you go across the threshold like that from I'm on my side defending to now I have way overextended. I can't get back to where my teammates can help me. These corridors here are big moments of that, where you get caught on the bottom floor and you need to get right back up quickly, and Zen's on your butt. It's going to be hard to deal with it. 21 seconds, though. Splyce have a chance to keep this tied up 1-1. I think they'd be happy with that result.
We're piloting the Maldamba words I never thought I'd be speaking on a consistent basis here. He's got the Eerie Presence 5. He's got the training wheels equipped.
You need that. Hey, man, I use it too. I think it's a good card. You know, you never want to miss that moment, or you really need a heal.
Makes it look like it never even happened.
Exactly. I didn't even miss.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
It might be. You know, new team, new hair products, new makeup. And War Doom this time around, not the star of the show, unfortunately. It will be Rukata finding a clutch kill, and Vocal Shady Shades respond, but it's a 1-1 heading in round 2, all tied up.
Gonna save ultimates there as well. 6-2. My goodness. Vocal, great round for him, but he had a lot of those flanks paying off for him. Interesting choice to send the Bomb King back there. Not a classified flanker, so to speak, but Paladins is simply your world. You get to define the terms by which you live by and which you fight by.
And Fan the Flames, a big card for Zen, and at that 80% level is pretty much going to be enough to reset your billow when you actually get the kill, because it takes a few seconds to do so. Increasing the distance of Whirl by 40% is where Bidey's invested a little bit more heavily than a lot of other Zen players. If you go to his streams, if you watch him, or you see some of his videos or Twitter comments, a lot of Zen shows up. He is a big Zen main, a big presence on this champion. Goes as far as to cosplay his voice while he is playing him. And so you have to expect big things when he's on this champ.
Now playing an angle here. Everyone's kind of looking at him, so Invocals has a chance to send a couple of uncontested bombs through these choke points. Only 15% on the objective. Everyone being very careful about how they make their moves. No one wanting to expose any weaknesses early on. Invocal won't have an easy trip to the back line like he did in the previous round.
King Bomb is ready, but you have to be aware of where the sniper is. Is this going to be something that Ozone has to deal with? Or is he going to position away? It's been hard getting through to the Terminus, and Invocal finds him just like that. So already SK are in a great spot.
Invocal's long-range bombs have been a big talking point. Here comes the peel, though, for Invocal. He's unable to make it out alive. Enlightenment was popped just in time. Wardoom's Dread Serpent only able to hit one in the back line there. Bidey will even the trade. A front line for a back line. And with these 3 DPS compositions, you have to say that's worth it for SK.
It's a good play, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do about Leon pressing her ultimate there. It's just a great play. It gets countered by a button that counters pretty much everything in this game. So heads up. Wardoom definitely showing he has the stuff to pilot the Maldamba effectively. Rakata's one shot. Bidey knows it. He's looking for a great stun as well by Wardoom, but it's right after the recover, so he's going to get the damage reduction, but it doesn't matter. Zen swings away and finds the kill.
There it is, and now he's already back to 40% on his ultimate. Chugging away in the back line there. One small miss. Easily reconciled for Bidey and SK Gaming. 99% yet again on the objective. Almost catches him looking. SK Gaming take another payload. Shady cleans up Aspect on his exit stage right, and they'll be off once again on the offense.
And this is a great little route that, you know, so many members of, we've seen now Bidey, now Invocal use on this map. It's a little precarious because of that. Because of that.
I think he hit Inara in the foot, and she just curb stomped him into oblivion.
Oh, man.
Hidden move in Inara's kit.
You know, that's one of those you want to avoid if at all possible. Even Terminus knows, so he's running away.
The oblivion curb stomp. Terminus has felt that many times.
As Wi-Fi does go down here. Unfortunate for Invocal. And as I said, precarious. So you got to be careful, but a lot of trust, a lot of knowing and knowledge about this map. They've played it a lot, and this is something that I think North America has taken a pride on knowing, especially as this is one of the newer maps. Usually they take a little while.
Long distance shot there will be good from Shady Shades. The blast shot. No fall off over distance.
Ooh.
Simply an impulse. Distance away from the center of the explosion. Tough to push into this man right here behind the scope. He seems to not have slowed down at all. Big Kinessa player. Actually, the first time I ever saw Ozone, he was playing Kinessa.
Yeah?
Against me.
Wow. That's the first time you saw him?
It was tough.
Probably saw him a lot from Spectator.
And the last time. Oh, wow, dude. All right. I think I went probably 2 and 8 against him.
All right. All right.
He can bleed.
He can bleed.
He can bleed.
All gods. Even gods can bleed. As we've seen.
Tell Shady.
Well, Kratos has showed me that. That has nothing to do with Shady Shades. Did you see Zeus's head get, you know, taken down?
Spoilers,
like, hey,
dude.
It can happen.
Spoilers.
But which one?
That's a 19-year-old game.
Come on, man.
Can't be out here spoiling
Can't be out here spoiling
its 20th anniversary.
A 20-year-old game. Can I spoil Zelda: The Ocarina of Time now as well? Is that a thing?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
If one additional child can enjoy that game, I say let him.
I agree. What about the NES Zelda? Can I spoil that?
Sure.
All right.
I never played that one, and I never will.
Oh, man. Well, that was the one that really started it off, as Splyce looked to kind of keep slowing down. That's been their theme. SK Gaming starting off strong here on the objective, but not really looking dominant. They're playing more of a patient style, and I think on Fish Market this worked, but they were not in the position of having the Terminus and fighting on the point. Now Splyce are the ones backing off, watching the point, trying to make a move, but it's just been very hard for both these teams to find that avenue to do so.
SK, a lot of times, they like to march up through this palace here. They're doing completely the opposite this time around. They're marching through the tunnels. Wardoom's going to get picked off by that time and space. Rukata picks up Invocal as well, and this feels like it's falling apart for SK Gaming. I think you basically call this one here. Maybe try and get another ult out of Splyce if you can.
Yeah.
But they can't, and they won't.
And they're really looking at Invocal. And, it's interesting to understand kind of the style that they're playing because they're saying, we want to sit on this point. We have the advantage here. And here's where that curb stomp happens. I'm not sure, Nick. I'm not sure.
The Oblivion curb stomp. Rarely caught on camera.
That might just be what he tells his friends. You fall down, you get a scratch on your face and say, yeah, fought 3 guys.
He
beat 2 of
bullied
them.
me.
He bullied. He was a bully.
That's a throwback right there.
It sure is.
My goodness.
And, Invocal, better luck next time. That's all I got to say.
4-2 start, 7-7 finish for the King after the first 2 rounds. Splyce.
They're ruthless, man.
Starting to figure it out. Starting to maybe make a couple of adjustments here. Healing charts about equalized. Ward him a little bit out in front. Wi-Fi's already got his Rejuvenate 3 online. That's definitely going to help that stat a little bit along. 2-2, and Invocal looking for more of the same.
A lot of Havens here, and that's already a very early kind of fight going in. And the Enlightenment, wow, that's a hitbox for you. It's going to clean up Invocal even around the corner. Shadow knows that better than anybody. And he's got the Luminary mark that's going to give him some more heals, some more damage. Still 30% for SK Gaming, but this time they lose the Bomb King quickly, and now Wi-Fi's getting staggered out. He's got a choice here now. Wait, and then Reanimate knows he's going to go straight for it. They've got Bitey, and they want to collapse right away, but they've got to save Wi-Fi here. Bitey has the bills, so he's going to go into it immediately. Ricotta might chase, but Bitey's going to avoid it for now.
Narrow miss timing there, 1 for 1 so far, 2 for 1. Shady Shade's making his way around the back line, but Ozone is good from the distance. He's going to find yet another headshot, poking Bitey extremely low.
That's a big shot. Wardoom here being very careful. He knows they've got eyes for him. He's got to slither up the hallway, and he's made it out. Still, not a done deal, but Wi-Fi with that Reanimate didn't get much. He's going to go down here. He's got to mount back up and get to the point like every other person. And it's 81%, Nick. There may not be enough time.
There it is. Wardoom meets a big one as well. 90% and climbing. Shady's trying to get there. Looks like he's going to start the overtime. Gets Void gripped up, but he does accomplish his suicide mission.
That's huge, man. I mean, Splyce coming through and now taking the lead after going down 2 points in a row. It's been 10 minutes. They've been defending, and they bide their time, make a big play, and then they end up now having a chance to take game 2 here over SK with a push.
Ricotta flirting with the idea of jumping over this ledge, but 10 seconds is a long cooldown to bear, especially when you don't know what truly awaits you on the other side. Invocal gets caught out in the corner, repositions by Ricotta. Puts some distance in between him and danger. Shady rolls away, but he's still under threat. It's a double time in space from its Aspect.
It's Aspect with the big play, and that's 2 champions that you want off the board. Shady Shade's still alive, but Zen and Terminus are off. And that is just a result of the support adding some extra value there. SK Gaming haven't gotten it going. They've looked okay. They've gotten points, but now get dangerously close, Nick, to this game going the way of Splyce with Vayne leading the charge.
A 2-0 start would be one hell of a storyline here for Splyce against SK. One of the oldest tried and true rosters here, facing some trouble here in the PPL. There's 3 kills for SK Gaming. Looks like they may have just stabilized for now. The wall's going to go up. Vayne's going to go down. Shady finds another couple kills. And SK, hold on for the time being.
It's just so much time, and that's what worries me. They're at 90%. How far do you hold? If Bitey messes this up a little bit here, he's in trouble. Ricotta getting very, very carefully pocketed by its Aspect, who has kept marks on him, kept marks on Ricotta. Excuse me.
Did they get backdoored here?
I don't know. I don't think so. On Shadow. And then on Vayne, Ozone.
I would have said, don't shoot there, man. Just sneak into the back line. I honestly think he probably could have backdoored that. He didn't shoot there.
It's possible. You never know. We've definitely seen that before.
I've seen more crazier shenanigans on Ascension Peak.
Wardoom really contributing some decent damage, looking for stuns. I love the kind of direction he's taken this support role. Wanting to do it all, always kind of a fidgeter, so to speak, you would say, in his play. Fernando plays an extremely high DPI, always looking in different directions.
Doesn't look like that's changed.
And it doesn't look like it's changed at all. Maldaba even a better champion to show that off. Going to slither here, avoid the stun, but actually Shady Shades, it goes down to Ricotta on the other side, losing a duel.
And Vocal's just going to try his best to cut through Inara. SK, their last legs beginning to crumble. Ricotta posted up right outside of spawn, and that just may be it.
That is it. Ball game over, 2-0 Splyce now with 1 game left before they take their first set ever in the PPL, and they knock down SK with a new roster swap of Wardoom adding to their lineup. Who would have thought that's what we'd be watching?
I think this is the matchup that you have to win if you're Splyce. This is probably one of your best chances.
2-0.
You've got one of the oldest and probably one of the legacy teams here in North America against the ropes. You got to put them away now.
Well, it's time to talk about that game, too, because there's really only one more game that might matter here. Let's break it down on the desk.
This is tough stuff for SK Gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, it's a veteran team that seems to be falling apart a little bit at the seams, facing off against Splyce, who we had a lot of doubts about going into today.
I mean, I guess the best way to say it is, like, when you look at all of the members, you've seen every single person on that roster be successful in the past, and it just feels like it's gone downhill, not only in the last split, but coming into this one, they've had really close calls. In Vegas, they had a close call with Gangstars, and here, while I feel like they would come in, I want to say slightly favored, Splyce played that last round incredibly well. Because the defenses before was like, well, okay, it's a hard push. Everyone has acknowledged this is a hard push. Getting the point there, going 2-2 isn't too crazy. Going 3-3 isn't too out of the ordinary. But then being able to just come in and with the performance, it was specifically Ricotta on Buck that like just kind of kept flashing in my mind. But the entire team really turned that point capture completely on its head from where SK was.
The fact that all of those members have shown a certain level of flexibility. Shadow, we saw him previously on the Drogos even, and right now here on the Leon, where it was exceptional in the way that he was targeting everybody on that high ground, as well as Aspect. You just saw in the previous replay the double kill that he had off of the third time in space, and those moments of control. You get double kill here, double kill there, and it's, oh, I'm going to take a little break on my Aspect doing that. Why don't you do that over there, buddy?
And Aspect actually it was one thing that was marked on, were his Astro Marks. They were pretty much always being applied, pocketed onto Ricotta, pocketed onto Shadow, making sure that the right people had the right damage buff every time they went into the engagement. And at the tail end of the game, that's everything they needed. They needed just that little bit of a push to give them that control.
Well, we've had 2 funky maps so far, and by that, I mean the fact that usually we're fairly consistent with where we go for our locations, like Stone Keep being one of the ones we commonly see, and that's where map 3 is going to be.
I'm kind of sad that it wasn't Timbermill. Yeah. At the same time, I might be a little happy that it's not Timbermill. I never really know how I feel about it until we're actually there.
But Splyce, they're 1 game away, and I mean, maybe we'll see Timbermill if it goes the distance, because with them, that seems to always be what happens.
They've been 1 game away once today, and it didn't go their way. But this is probably the most comfortable spot to be in, is when you're up 2. But this kind of begs the question. I mean, the last time they were up 2 against someone else, it was up against Renegades again to end the last split, and then they lost 3 games in a row. Is this going to be the same kind of effect with a different roster, or are they going to be able to close it out? I mean, with the way they've been playing, this has been solid.
Yeah, and on the opposite end, if you're SK, you just made a roster change, you're going into the set against a team that has yet to have a set win within the PPL. Granted, of course, different players and such, but still. And then you're down 2 games. Juteo's okay, we're still making adjustments of our own and everything is fine. Or that's got to get in your head a little bit. Maybe we weren't anticipating just this level of play from the opposite end. But you also have to give it to Splyce. We talked about after game number 1, was it one team not doing well? Was it the other team doing very well? And I think Splyce has proved themselves as players.
And I mean, that, again, just heat of the moment switches, on the fly adapting in-game, something that they were able to do for that last point that they captured, is exactly what you need to be successful. That is the key difference, I think, between a lot of the teams that we see. Again, since they were formerly Toxicity in the PGS, the difference between those top PGS teams and the PPL teams is that ability to say, look, this is what's going wrong in round 3. This is how we change it right now with the draft we have. These are the cards we're dealt, but we can still win.
And Splyce rounding it out with Drogos, and we saw some of that incredible play earlier on in the day. They have the Xin Genos combination as well, but SK, I think they're going to some of the basics as things that they've proven themselves on in the past.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. Drogo's, I think, is a really big key. Leon, Xin are going to be consistent, but Drogo's kind of up in the air, literally, with the way things could go for him. It's a kind of hit or miss. As long as those rockets are connecting, it should be a solid performance.
Cassie going to be trying to make sure that she can try and pluck the Dragon Lizard Man out of the sky. Let's get to it. This is game number 3. Let's find out if Splyce can close it.
Well, it's been a brilliant performance by Splyce all day, I think. I would recommend people not only just looking at their team performance, but also noticing who stood out. To me, it was Shadow, who was, not the name I knew coming into this. We knew Ricotta from Splyce. We knew Ozone from battling in that PGS team. Shadow was a good player, but he's made his mark today, and I think a way that only is made with those guys who show up big when you need that, but you don't expect it from anyone.
This could be it for Splyce. I think they've got themselves another good draft here. I think they've been largely focusing on what they feel they're comfortable with and what they're good at, rather than focusing on, these high-level, high-execution compositions right now. And I think that's started to work for them a little bit more. They tried it a couple times versus the Renegades. But, I mean, Shadow's looked great on the Drogo so far today. I think if Ozone does a good job keeping a cap on the healing that can come through to Wi-Fi, Shadow is going to be teed up to have himself one hell of a game.
So this will be an interesting showcase because, Wardoom on support has not done anything to change the problems that have persisted with SK Gaming. And Wardoom has done well. We have, I have nothing really bad to say about it.
In my opinion, a support won't do that.
And that's the thing. You have to fix these issues which have been relying in this core of how they go about approaching fights, how they go about changing the course of the game. But right there, Vocal finding a big kill, and Wi-Fi finding a big one onto the Dragon in the sky. Ozone just with one in return, but it's not going to be enough with Ozone, getting taken down now by Vocal.
So a weakness possibly exploited by Renegades is that fighting as a team, Splyce haven't proven that they can do that very well. And if you're a long-standing legacy team like SK Gaming, that's got to be one of your strengths here, I think, that you go to. Try and make Splyce play your game.
Watch Drogos right now. He didn't see him coming. They didn't see him coming. He went for the backside. He went up and over. And this is just, Shadow doing Drogo's things. And he gets two big plays, essentially 2 kills, though he doesn't get the last hit. This is going to be the third. And listen, Vocal turns it around. Bitey with a big play as well. He says, I got you, brother. I'm going to help you do your thing so we can keep doing ours. Vayne goes down on the point. Bitey, SK, and Vocal coming alive here in Game 3.
Listen, a couple of shots there on the big stage. Shadow a little shook there. I think those were in hands that easily could have landed, and that was a fight that easily could have turned around for Splyce. But the wiggles near the well, and Vocal stays alive.
And Bitey and Buck, a combination that definitely wiggles. It's very difficult to hit that champion in general in the air. It's also very difficult to hit Leon on the ground. She's just very wiggly. Something about their hitboxes, their movement speed.
She's skinny.
Yeah, they're very skinny, but also just kind of have this interesting pace about them that's different than some of the other champions. And Ricotta here, knowing also that they can apply some damage pressure. He's going to have to billow out. I'm not sure if he has enough to survive. He's going to go and just throw some damage and try and bide some time.
And Enlightenment came out. Didn't find a home. Bitey takes down Ricotta. SK Gaming paving the warpath here. So far, so good. Haven't seen Bitey play Buck in a hot minute, but yeah, so far he's looking pretty well on that. And I think this is a good role for him to play. When you take a look at what Bittner was able to do, Bitey skirts that one narrowly. Wi-Fi will not, but if Bitey can get in there and make space on characters like Buck and Zin, it makes the jobs of Invoco and Shady Shades that much easier.
And a really good headshot from Bitey, really good patience as well. I'd love to see what he's running on this Buck, loadout-wise, because you can tell he's running a deep breath and reconstruction, but Rapid can sustain a little higher, a little lower than usual, reconstruction a little higher than usual, and leg day a little lower than usual as well. So really prioritizing having that heal up as much as possible, and in a build that is all about it. I like it.
58 seconds left. Ultimates for SK Gaming. One already popped, but that's just for information. The scout from Cassie doesn't have any stealth to worry about countering out this time around, so Shady can use it at will. But it's about finding that long distance pick or using some vertical mobility, but SK just don't have much of that at all. It's going to be tough for them to get that entry frag. I like this here from Shadow.
Play.
He doesn't try to turn tail and run. He's going to go ahead and pick himself up another one.
I mean, clearly a Drogos player, as you can see.
He's called the Greedy for a reason.
Yeah, and this is one that, when you have a guy who can do this for you, it's something not even SK really have naturally. And Vocal is not a natural blaster player. He has taken on that role. He's a young player. He's learned so much. He's leading the damage right now. It shows you, how much of an impact he's had in this game. But Shadow seems like he naturally leans that way. But he's been flexing on all these other things. Really shown just tremendous stuff for me today.
No more windows of opportunity for SK Gaming. They're still sitting on those ultimates, but I'm not sure. Down 0-2, they don't want to really take too many risks. I think they want to play this one safe. There's the entry frag that SK has been struggling to come by this whole round. This might be where they hit the gas pedal.
Oh, there's the enlightenment from Ozone, but Bitey's able to clean him up. A couple of shots, net shot used as well to slow him down. He's going to clean him up right there with a big kill, double kill for the coach. Invocal finds another one, and SK again looking very good. Just like the start of the round, they bide their time, they make their move, and it's enough to most likely send this into a 2-0.
What the hell is that wall?
Yeah, what's that wall?
The butterstick wall.
Yeah.
But what did he even put it on? Shadow. My guy. He gets it done.
And he hit that shot. I mean, that was a flick shot. It wasn't even in the camera's view. It's so fast. Barely take advantage of it. And a beautiful fire spit to follow up.
Good rounds, though, from Shady as well, keeping up on the damage chart. Bitey with 8 and 2.
Yeah.
Not the most damage by a long stretch, but he's finishing the kills for his guys. And that's just about how does the team work? Is it Bitey making space for Shady to get the kill, or Shady doing the opposite, setting up a kill for Bitey to just jump on and consume?
Yeah, I hear that. Good question. No answer yet. And Splyce, they don't really have an answer for this lineup either. Shadow playing great, but Shadow was also the guy playing the Zen on games like Splitstone Quarry, really making an impact for Splyce. And Ricotta hasn't been as great of a Zen in this game. 0-4 is not what you expect.
Yeah, I believe this is the first game he's not playing something that's hit scan. Aspect finds the first one. Ricotta finds the second.
There we go.
Vayne, largely stationary, will be punished for that, but he's bought his team a whole lot of time, and they've done good work with it.
Don't worry, Ricotta. I did that because, you know, Caster's Curse in a positive way. I said you didn't do anything, and I knew you were about to do something in this point fight. Wi-Fi takes him down. Shadow also taking one down. Really good fire spit timing, but misses it. So they're going to have a chance.
Primed. Salvo loosed, finds virtually no damage onto Bitey, who just leaps away after happily scooping another kill, and Shadow will be chased out of the gatehouse, out of the high ground, as Splyce do have the comeback mechanic, but no real map control to speak of.
And this is a dangerous, dangerous proposition. SK Gaming have done all this work, Nick, but they haven't even touched the point. How many fights are you going to win against these guys?
We'll have to see if they're able to find any more. I don't know. They have literally 10% of the map right now, and even that is looking like a little bit too much for SK's liking. Bitey finds a deep kill on the Shadow. I don't know if they get their legs under them in time.
54% still, and again, let's say that's 30% at the start of this fight. You know, now they're working at a captured objective already. Now, Splyce have one more chance to do something. No real ultimates in hand. Enlightenment will be up soon. The Spite from Zen is also available. Fernando dropping low, and that's probably going to end it unless Shadow can go super big here, but he's not. Invocal, Bitey, they're playing on form today, and they look like they're going to capture this one with the Spite just closing a conversation that is already pretty much ended.
There it is. The Seismic Crash doesn't actually get off, so Wi-Fi is going to be able to hold on to that one. Shady gets void gripped up. One more shot on Ricotta will do it. He finds it. Bitey's back. The front line is back for Splyce. They've got their feet under them, but their knees, they are a-shaking.
Ricotta did a great job there. I mean, Shadow, again, if Shadow kills Shady Shades in that one moment, different story, but Invocal's been playing phenomenally, showing up big on this Bomb King, and now he's going to look to find its aspect as well. The General Swiggles, do not underestimate them, but also do not underestimate the Bomb King, and that's going to be a SK Gaming 3-0 here on Stone Keep.
He's got to be running some shock and awe, right? He looks like he's zooming pretty quickly. Running and reloading very fast, and Invocal has the opportunity with this loadout to just run away with a fight. And that's really what it's all about with the Bomb King. When you get an opportunity, being able to just roll through it without having to slow down can really put an opponent on the back foot in an awkward way.
And as much as they had a great performance on Ascension Peak here to get that 2-0, lackluster for the first time today, I think I'm seeing in Splyce. It's not looking like their lineup. They haven't really had a lot of control. A couple of moments, but SK have just been tried and true here, and we're starting to see some of that veteranship, some of that patience in their play style actually start to pay off.
Maybe just not their map. They got pretty handled here by the Renegades as well. So perhaps something to work on, something to go to the drawing board for, like Fish Market. Didn't appear to be SK Gaming's map. Everyone's got their specialty. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Potential stabilizer here for Splyce. It's going to cost them an ultimate, but they will ultimately get what they came for.
And that is important. Shady Shades on this Cassie is, you know, you can talk about comfort picks. That's about as comfortable as it gets for Mr. Shades. And Shadow firing some rockets away. He's going to thrust into the left side and try to control Cathedral space. as Wi-Fi back on his mount, and the Inara is going to take this little cubby room. And look at this, Wardoom with a Dread Serpent to start the fight off and just get some damage off the board. This allows Invocal to move, and if he finds this kill, but no, Shadow will do it. But he's going to open it up for Bitey, and that's SK now with a flanker in the back line, and Immortal already popped.
Bitey is just finding so many kills. It's got to be the best Buck performance of the day for my money. He has snuck into the back line so many damn times, 15 and 5 on a character he barely plays.
Wow. Great stuff, great flexibility. That's what happens when you've got the coach on your team. But also that's what happens when Invocal plays well. He had some game-changing moments against Shadow. He had some game-changing moments throughout the course of that game against Ricotta, and just the front lines as well, pressuring Vayne out, bursting him down in the beginning of that round.
Yeah.
So SK really looked much better. I wonder if they'll be able to keep this up.
Yeah, they did a great job playing together, Bitey and Vocal, and Shady did a good job staying safe and just kind of contributing from a distance.
It's a scary thing to give a team with experience, with the ability to win games, who knows what it's like to be life on the line, a little bit of a chance. So now SK, knowing that it's not over, Splyce going to have to close this one out soon. Otherwise, it'll be a game 5.
It ain't over till it's over. And SK pulling through in game number 3, and they needed that.
Yeah, and especially in the way they did it. I think it's one of those things, if that goes 4-3 and you're SK, you're still really shaky going into the next one. Yeah, you're going into it and you're like, man, that was a chore just to get through that. You get a 4-0 and you're like, okay, we can do this. Like, that's when you start getting the Bitey, like, bring everyone up, bring the rising morale, and make sure everyone's still in it.
And in that game, he was impressive. We love seeing Bitey be able to show out in these matches. And that, even if you look at Invocal with a double kill on the Bomb King that he had at some points, it was just all coming together nicely. And looking at the way that Bitey was just moving around the map.
I would say this is probably the way you would want, after switching roles around, kind of switching, so Bitey now playing a lot more flex, being able to showcase the fact that he has a lot more champions under his belt than I think you might have thought through some of these last few splits, and being able to showcase them well. Him and Invocal were a big driving force behind all of this, and it seems like this was the game where the roster finally started feeling a little bit more comfortable with what they were choosing.
Yeah, and Bitey, he's been around the scene a long time. He knows a lot about Paladins and has a very analytical mind. So that's one thing that I think feels so weird whenever SK aren't performing, and during the last split it wasn't very favorable for them, is we know the players and we know they have the potential. And Splyce, though, you take a look, they won the first 2 games. They're waiting for that last win. Yeah. And it's the situation they faced before, so I can't help but think, are you going down the same path as previously?
Well, I think they're in this glorious setting where, as first, they have the new roster. So they're a little bit more comfortable there. And they're still 1 game away. I think that's the best way to go into a game 4 like this. When you're up 2-1, you just, okay, we lost that one, whatever. We're still 1 game away. That's all we need. 1 more game, 1 more map. We get to choose it because we lost the last one, so this is where we can try to turn things back in our favor.
Maybe. And Splitstone, Quarry might be the location to do just that.
It looked pretty decent from them last time. I'm actually excited to see if they do go back to the snipers. I hope they don't get banned out because Ricotta looked phenomenal on this. But again, Fish Market, Ricotta would have been phenomenal on a sniper there and was not able to get it because SK just banned it away.
Yeah, SK spent both of their bans taking away the Strix and the Kinessa. But already not going to be the case. Makoa banned. So Splyce, they are first pick. So even if Kinessa or Strix were to get banned in that last slot, and actually they're both open, I see a world where Splyce at some point within this draft pick up a sniper.
I'm kind of curious as to what they want to go for first here. It's going to be the Maeve. I actually completely forgot that Maeve made it through. It's been so long since we've actually gotten to see Maeve, and that's a good pickup. This is a good map for her specifically because, again, going kind of around the lava side that you can actually see there on the map, very well covered. She pretty much has mobility enough to get her anywhere on this map and still feel safe doing it.
So SK actually take the early Kinessa, and I think the way that they banned out and everything, it was an indicator they were going to go in the direction of Sniper. And rather than leaving that pick towards later, they decide that they want the Kinessa over the Strix, so it's better just to lock that in. This leaves the Maldamba Inara opening, though, for Splyce.
And this is I think a really good draft because we've seen Wardoom, and again, this is something, Nick had said it earlier, I kind of feel weird saying it, has been a phenomenal Maldamba. Not something I thought would be a phrase to come through. Not necessarily saying he'd be a bad Maldamba, but I just never thought he'd be playing Maldamba competitively. So coming into this, he's been really good on that. Scoop it away from him so he feels maybe a little bit less comfortable, again, kind of transitioning into the support role. And you get a Nara, who's just going to love having a Maldamba behind her.
whether you decide that you want to go single front line or otherwise. Gnar is a good starting point for any of that. Xin coming out as well. And this has been a pick that's traveled to both of these teams during the set so far.
Yeah.
There's your Strix.
That was, again, you grab the Damba and Nara when you do because you're like, they're not going to take Strix from us. Like, there's no way they take Strix. I'm a little shaky personally on using the double flank. I think Maeve, because of her mobility, has the high ground, so Kness is going to be locked there, which gives Xin some free room to focus on the Buck, the Leon, the Saris, kind of go around the side and look at the other targets.
But it is going to be single front line on both sides. Lots of snipers, lots of flanks, everything that you know and love. So let's hop into game number 4.
You know, looking at this lineup, I find I'm a little worried about SK here. And it's not that I don't think they can do it.
I think Splyce got everything they wanted.
Yeah, I just think Splyce looked good, and I feel like the Terminus is such a tightrope to walk. You know what I mean? Just the solo front line. He's great, but I don't know.
It's a tough one. It's up to Wi-Fi there. It's a lot of riding on the power siphon. Hero
It really is.
insane on it. He was able to make some turnaround plays that didn't end up working out in the grand scheme of things, but the potential is definitely there.
I think that's why it's so good when Hero does that, too, because you don't expect that from Hero. You're not expecting that from your Terminus player to make those type of impact plays all the time so consistently. Roost, it is almost cock-a-doodle.
The meta pusher loadout.
Yeah, the meta pusher loadout, and Relentless as well. Grizzled is just a good card for Ricotta. Actually puts him in the 2,300 range.
He's really just trying to win this 1v1 with Invocal and have as much wiggle room to do that as possible through damage reduction and HP and information and movement speed.
And, you know, really talking about making an impact, it's going to be this flare. He's going to know exactly where Biden's coming from. Really smart and an effective way to avoid everyone and get straight up to the sniper. What he's done is he's distracted him from the front line, so hopefully that just gives a little bit of room, but Bidey is in trouble here as Moldava and the rest of the team, including Ozone, have all collapsed onto him, but Bidey is just wiggling and wiggling and wiggling, and he might get a kill onto Ozone here. The shots are not connecting, so he's going to pull away, but look how low everyone is. Ricotta finally finds him. Well, boy, was that a feast waiting to happen.
That's the way this game is going to go. This is going to be a razor's edge matchup between Ricotta and I think the rest of SK Gaming trying to dive him essentially. Great peel from Ozone as well, and Vocal finds the first shot there. A little bit of pressure from Shadow coming out, but this really isn't an effective wheelhouse for him to fight from.
And I mean, as much pressure as we saw Ricotta face, Invocal's under quite a bit as well. Mighty finding Ricotta now that he's dropped to the low ground, and that is definitely not where you want. But Invocal here just making sure he doesn't see Ozone. Sneaking around the corner. That Maeve is still prowling somewhere. Shadow finding a big kill on Abide. He has definitely been the best Zen player on the side of Splyce today. And back on that roll, he finds a clutch kill.
Shady's working on his ultimate as well. 89% climbing higher and higher. He'll have it in no time. Overtime started in favor of Splyce. Wi-Fi goes down. No front lines for SK to stall with.
It's just a Bitey quadra kill. That's all he needs. And
Easy game.
He's close to that double. He's looking for it. And SK got basically all they needed. Shady Shades and Vocal stepped in and, you know, got some kills in front of him. But Bitey and the moment of approach was right, and it's a 1-0 lead here, albeit very narrowly over Splyce.
And with no ultimates used either by SK for that victory, that was far from assured there. Power Siphon plays, very nice stuff. Very nice combination by Wi-Fi and Bitey to keep him safe on the front line. Ooh. Not for a time, and Invoco always has that potential to go off and just one-shot a couple of people.
And I mean, you know what? It's working out really well for them. And SK Gaming have shown they like to 2-0 when they get going. Splyce have shown they like to defend when they have a chance to either get 2-0 or tied up 1-1. However, this looks to be moving a little faster than they would like. Enlightenment here popped. Ozone gets close to dead, and he gets dead by Bitey, and now he's shooting for the head. Jumping up and away, he finds the third. Bitey going big here. The coach showing him how to play. He says, come on, kids, I'm not going to talk lesson plans. I'm going to show you.
Is that caveman casting there?
It might have been.
Head, good, shoot. Me likey.
Buck is a very
cavemanic character.
He is.
And that's a word.
Basic. He just
Buck heel, Buck jump.
Buck heel, Buck jump, Buck kill! Buck kill again! Oh, yeah, brother.
Oh, yeah, and this is the perfect skin for that. 106 on the clock. Under some pressure, but Bitey doesn't appear to be super worried about it. He's done such a good job just moving around the map, keeping the members of Splyce distracted. A quick heal. Shadow now. The tables have turned. That's the thing about Buck. If you don't kill him quickly, he will ultimately tip the scales back in his favor.
He'll full heal, man, and that is just the power of bulk up. Holy moly. This is a great play here from Invoco to start it off. What a shot there. Hot young talent indeed. Rabies was onto something.
He sure was. We will tell his story for all time. Same loadout here, no changes. I was actually wondering, I couldn't tell. His cooldowns looked like it was so low, but it's only a 10-second cooldown, 1 second off per level. Buck has a lot of value hidden in these loadout cards.
Oh, yeah.
Splyce with a rough start there, 1-3, 1-4 between Ozone and Shadow. Those guys have got to find a way to pick it up.
And you sacrifice that jump strength, which sometimes the 10% is enough to get up on certain ledges, and the 5% isn't. But he's really aware of what ledges that matters on, and he knows the route that he took last time was enough, and he's taking a completely different route here. I love the approach. It's just mixing it up, but this time a little bit dangerous, but he hides out in this side, now finds a healer, and a beautiful play. Bitey is really just on form today, Nick.
Not the way you want to see it go down, and Invoco puts Ozone into the wall. 27% already for SK Gaming, and Ara on the retreat, unable to find the headshot there that would have been good for the kill. But Bitey's still in hot pursuit of that butt.
And the movement as well from the Buck. I've just been so impressed.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal today.
And headshots galore and the management of situations, but he just recovered. I don't think they're going to be able to kill him.
No way. He gets out. Oh, finally goes down, but you got to say at what cost? He's invested so much to be able to bring Bitey down. Shady still now just easily slides into the back line, and Lightman comes out onto the point. Shady Shade stopped short only by Ozone. And Splyce just trying to hang on. Thank goodness for comeback mechanic. They're going to need it.
Yeah, and you know, thank goodness for how SK played. They knew they had to go big, right? And they did. They went very, very big in that round, and they got themselves 78% of a starting matchup where comeback mechanic was a thing. I think Wi-Fi is going to get... Oh, no! And he had to reanimate, had to use it right beforehand, so maybe that was the problem. But it is going to be a 2-1. Splyce keep themselves alive here. Lucky bounce.
Dear God.
But not a lucky shot. That was beautiful.
Oh, man, unfortunate. Rough shake there for Big Bitey. And Terminus wasn't such a man of the theater, the cinematic dunking. If he could have just got to the point.
I know.
Man, what a different round this might be.
There are going to be some adjustments to his, or this might have been the patch before. Some of the gravity of him falling, making it a little bit more consistent. Sometimes he falls faster. Sometimes he doesn't fall as fast. It really is a question mark here. I know that some of those things are getting worked on. Ooh. And it's Shadow finding a couple kills, but Invoco finding a couple as well. So he's going to slow the roll of Splyce.
What's the plan here, Wardoom?
Just the speed, the chase.
I'm getting in there.
And this is what I like. Wardoom's such an aggressive kind of player. Even on Saris, he's trying to find damage, trying to find kills.
He's here to change the support game.
And if we look at the damage, I'm curious where he is actually right now, because it's always just an interesting conversation of, you know, where supports end up damage-wise. Saris is one of those that can go at 0, you know, and he's at 3,000.
Pacifist approach.
But where's his healing, just to kind of compare those two, because that is really also a testament to what your healer's providing.
He's done a good job healing Bitey as well with rapid sustain. Wow. It's going to be very significant healing from a distance as Bitey just continues to have his way with the Splyce backline, going wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and only dying when it's an ultimate or two invested.
Where's Bitey? That's the game all of Splyce are playing. It's a party game that is a party for the Buck and a challenge for you. It's like an escape room, kind of. But unfortunately, sometimes there is not an answer. There is not an easy conclusion. There are no hints given.
30 seconds remaining.
And you got to find out on your own. This time they do track him down, send him back to base. 26 seconds left for Splyce to push and tie this thing up.
Got some big ultimates to work with as well if they want to roll in deep for it. Terminus, he's the big one that you want to get charged before this defense ends here for SK Gaming. He's only at 60% right now. They're definitely going to need this. Definitely will gives you so much space, so many more options to be able to work with when you can sacrifice Terminus's life. Saris might be able to focus on just literally healing someone else and letting Terminus just stay alive as long as he can. Bitey's dead. Splyce That is one hell of a way to start this fight.
Yeah, that's what they wanted, and Ozone gets it as well. This is going to be tough. Now Wi-Fi is going to be a lot more susceptible to these pounces. No one can clash and jump in onto the name, especially that 1200 shot. It's going to put Vocal out of business for now. Shady Shade's trying to cover, hits a presence, puts Ricotta back out. Wardoom's going to heal them up, so now pretty much all even. Who commits ultimates? Do you commit ultimates? That's the question they need to answer.
He eats a big shot there, but he's being healed up. Shady's falling here. If this flare is good, and it is, it's going to be about 1,000 damage. Forces out the recover. Blind as a bat. Bitey has no trouble finding those last 2 shots, and he might be the thorn in Splyce's side. That just tips the scales a little too far.
That was a big recovery, and he misses. He can't hit it. Shady Shade's big clutch shot there, but he slides away. The contest doesn't happen. There are 3 members alive and
Yikes.
well, and he slides for the damage, but gives up the point.
Big oof. He had teammates close as well.
Yeah.
It's not his job entirely, but my goodness.
And just a little note, we're finding stat-wise, our stat man in the back telling us that Wardoom hasn't died in 2 games.
Agent
but
009.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
The legacy lives on.
Wardoom just doesn't die in Paladins. That's kind of his thing.
It was a really impressive reputation to have as frontliner.
3, 2.
It's a little bit less so for me as a support.
But now that he has it as a frontliner and a support, I think it's just less about the class he's playing, more just about him.
He's a scaredy cat.
He's a scary
He won't
cat.
take any risks. He
Top
won't
healing
shadow
by
travel
about
into
30,000.
5.
Shadow travel, convergence into the back line, flank onto Ricotta.
That's what I want. Change the game, Wardoom.
Change the game,
Don't fall
Wardoom.
in line.
The Saris meta, come on. Veil, Dark Whisperer meta. Level 5, both of them. I love it. 48% counting. Zen doing a couple
Wants
of
it.
bows there in the backside. Couple of headshots missed by Invocal. Damage found, but the Earthy Guard is active. Slays Ozone. That's a big start to this fight. Here comes the Dread Serpent as well. Ricotta finding Bitey as a response. And Invocal's still up on top. They've got to get rid of the sniper.
Flanker for flanker here. The fight basically equalized. Wi-Fi just barely around the corner. He gets juiced right back up to
Big
full
heal.
HP. Shadow falls as well. And Vocal now has no pressure on him and can free fire into this fight. 99% for Splyce before an R even has to back off.
This is a big deal. Ozone is now back and well, and Vayne has not been taken down. And Bitey and the rest of the team are content to sit here. They want to zone out. They want to poke. They know they've got to touch the point. It's their 6th man, right? So they've got to stay in a position to where they can see them and see the objective. Wi-Fi still there. Bitey cannot die here, though. That's the problem. He's in a different spot than maybe he would like to be, but there's the Buck Wow, and he's looking to get Vayne. He finds him, but there's Shadow who finds another, but Shady Shades comes up big with a double kill, maybe making amends for that last round with a triple kill and the point captured for SK.
And they still had to go through Terminus Reanimate there. Wi-Fi had plenty of room to give on the objective there. He would have been coming right back. Beautiful fight from Shady Shades and all of SK.
That was what they needed right there. And that's what Shades needs as well. Just a little bit of confidence boost, you know, maybe takes that one on his shoulder, says, guys, I messed up there, just a habit. You know, that's a Leon thing. You slide to get that final hit, but sometimes the slide doesn't work out the way you want.
Yeah, and with so many teammates nearby, you have to,
You're wondering miscommunication maybe.
or just lack thereof.
Yeah.
He's not, I don't think I'm expecting Shady Shades to be like, I'm sliding off point, sliding off point.
Well, I think maybe it might have been Wardoom or somebody thinking, guys, touch point, I can't stay for long. I gotta slide. Wardoom's like, I'm on it, I'm there. But maybe not quite there.
I'm a peacock,
Maybe
you
on
gotta
the
let me
way.
slide.
And Wi-Fi showing some jumping skills. Nice 40, 50-inch lead there.
Wardoom's rubbing off on him.
And Bitey continuing to be impressive. Minute and 20 seconds left for SK to push, and they are poised to tie this thing up for Game 5 if they do convert here.
More great map control. Bitey loses track of Ricotta for a second. The flare connects, and help arrives very quickly. Quick response time from the paramedics.
That flare is really not doing much, though. And, you know, those big chunks of damage reduction champions like Maeve and Inara and Buck can have in these loadouts or in these abilities. It really hurts what you expect to do. And 800 damage, usually a very big threat, but when it's more like 400 damage, not so much, especially when you're also healing 1,600 and gaining 300 health that you didn't have before.
Falling back, even though Stealth here. Bitey moving in for the kill. Gets flashbang. Gets tagged up by the Talon rifle.
Still healed
Every
through it.
shot
He
from
healed
the
through it
pistol
all.
is good, but Bitey, thick-skinned, will survive.
There is no other way to outplay him there unless you headshot every one of those crack shot pistol shots. If you do that, you might kill him. Highest DPS weapon in the game, essentially, in Paladins, but my goodness gracious, he hits the flare, he hits the shot, he hits the 150 damage, and the blind on the flashbang, and Bitey still recovers through it all. That's bulk up, ladies and gentlemen.
Bulk up, by the
There's
way.
no better example than that moment right there.
It's a nice shot on the Shady Shades as he tries to slide in. Wardoom's going to eat one as well. Flare goes up over the top. Wi-Fi's already dead on the objective, and this payload is pretty far away. I'm not sure if this is the time to invest your hard-earned Terminus ultimate and Vocal deep in the enemy backline. Unless he pulls off a miracle, this overtime is not looking long.
I mean, there's something here. There's some potential here.
Schwiffle's back.
They tried.
Just
and
kidding.
They did a great job, but again, right off the point. There's 4 members around. Nobody's on it. And that's the, just the conversation you need to have. That barely clips it away. Shady Shades has been known for Leon. On this map in particular, running the Imminence Legendary, but I'm pretty sure he switched to Death and Taxes for the sake of the squad. And 110,000 damage on a Leon. Boy, oh boy, that's what you want.
I'd be curious because I'm pretty sure. Let's look at Leon's loadout. I think he's running his Eminence loadout. Unless
I run Heraldry even when I play not Imminence, which I think it's a great card. It's just so much value.
Yeah, definitely. If you can hit him, and he has been.
And now I need to run Manifest Destiny because that was fun. I loved that from ClickU. Lamborghini Leon.
That was not it. What the?
He was emoting, and he got off his mount that you don't mount up when you emote at the start of a round, so make sure not to do that in the base, otherwise you
That really slowed down SK. I wonder if that is actually going to hurt them. What the hell is Invocal doing? SK, weird stuff happening from them right now.
Absolutely. I think that might have been a panic moment, right? They might have just had the call. And
We got to wait for Shady, wait for Shady.
Wait for Shady, wait, go. Guys, I'm not mounted. Wait. I don't know. I could see that happening very, very easily, and Splyce take good advantage of it, man. Nick, this is just 1 point to go. Splyce in a great spot here. They can win the set.
Splyce, 48% looking for their franchise first of the PPL. There's ultimates online for them. SK popped a very panicked Convergence, but they still have Terminus ult. They still have plenty of options, plenty of resources to use and burn to stall this one out.
Oh, big headshot there. Another big headshot. That's exactly what they needed in Vocal, showing up big. But how big will it be? Will it be enough for SK to come back? Shadow with a big kill. Shady Shades hasn't clipped him with enough damage to send him back to base. Although a great play, the Enlightenment is off the mark, and he just may go down as a result for it.
There it is. Shadow bursts him down. Terminus Reanimate still available, still on the objective.
Oh, no.
Splyce are going to be hard-pressed to move him, but Inara's back. She's going to stop the bleeding, and here comes the stun up over the top. Wi-Fi looking a little cross-eyed on the objective.
You do not want to get down there. This is not where you want to be. He's got a lot of damage on the table, but it's 99%.
He missed
You've
the
got
wall.
to reanimate. He's got to go here. Will it be enough time? Overtime is ticking, but the wall still blocks the damage. Overtime has to be made. A play should come through from SK, and it has. Bitey and Shady Shade show up big with a couple of kills of their own.
Rukata starts to answer back. SK
Oh
Gaming steal
my.
it away. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I didn't see that one coming.
I mean, I saw him on the point. It looked like he was there. Wow.
Seen that many times.
That was quite a finish for SK Gaming. You really thought Splyce had it there, and then you really thought, well, Splyce had it there, and then you really thought, whoa, I can't believe SK won.
They held it together just barely long enough. The Terminus ultimate, holding on to it. Talk about, you got to hold this for 2-3 rounds for that perfect moment. And I think Wi-Fi found it.
Yeah, he didn't find the damage, but he stayed alive. It was meaningful. It zoned them away, and that was enough. He's just standing. Guys, we won. Thanks. All right, well, let's send it back to the desk. Great showcase from SK to tie it up. Send it to another Game 5.
Tight 4-3 finish, but SK continuing off of that same strength.
It looks like a team. I mean, both of these have been going back and forth. I want to say kind of like Titans punching each other, but SK, especially during that last engagement, and a lot of moments during that, just looked like a team that has rallied behind themselves.
And the fact that Wardoom has not died since they made that turnaround and started winning is pretty impressive.
I mean, you look at the fact that, I mean, several games where it's like, okay, well, your healer only has 2 deaths. That means they're living forever. That means they're having a lot of healing impact. It causes a lot of trouble. And then you say, okay, well, not only no deaths for this game, no deaths in the last 2 games at all, even for that one being a 4-3, you have to change that if you're Splyce.
And it helps to have a support like that when you're someone like Shady Shades on the lane who he really enjoys a lot. And getting things like triple kills and having that heavy impact that SK really needed to keep themselves in this fight.
Such a big turnaround. And I think that's one of the moments, I feel like Leon is in this area where it's not, you know, she's not going to be your first pick. She's not the first person you're going to. But if you have someone who can make her look that good, you pick up a Leon. You make sure you have that. And it's definitely a big pickup if you don't get the Cassie.
And that's why she goes usually in the middle of a draft or towards the end, because there are also some players that definitely favor her more than others as far as her play style and everything. And I know Shady Shades does enjoy playing this champion, so when they can bring it out in a composition and it works, then it's really working.
And I also have to give shout-outs, I think, throughout that game was Invocal. Just the way he was playing, again, glimpses of just fantastic play, where it just comes through and it's just like, if you could just do that every single time, like, you would be the best player in the world. It's hard to be that consistent, honestly, and that's part of the reason why it's like, you got to have your ups and downs. You got to die occasionally. But with the way he was playing, it was very impressive on that Kinessa.
Well, we're going to game number 5, which means the bottom of the barrel for map. So let's find out what's left on the table. And it's Frozen Guard. It's been a while since we've been to a cold place.
I feel like Frozen Guard for a while there, and it might just be Europe, because I think it's either Fnatic or Na'Vi lately that have just been banning it out and do not want to go here. But it's, again, in that area, kind of where I would throw Fresh Market, where it's just like, if we have to, we'll go there. A lot of teams like this one, but there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of different strategies, again, that make this map either shine or just fall off for you.
And it's another one of those maps where if you are on the defense and you're in that last choke possible on the push, then you can take advantage of some of that high ground potential and such. But SK decide to ban away Kinessa, which does leave one sniper open if someone wants to pick it up.
I'm actually curious as to whether or not, no, they're going to go for the Cassie. I was thinking if this is the spot, they'd say, we don't want you to have a sniper. This is where you scoop it up. But this is actually one of those maps that's it's a little interesting because picking up a sniper here can be great for you. But at the same time, it can be very detrimental because you know where the sniper is going to stand. You know exactly the strategy, which side of the map they're going to, where their vision's going to be. So you can play around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. SK, by banning away a sniper and not picking up a sniper themselves, then they are doing this knowing that Splyce is likely to pick that up, and they do, their third pick being Strix, which means they do have a strategy in mind. They go into this very prepared, and Genos is going to be their next lock-in, along with Buck, and Buck has been a great pick. Bidey's been doing really well on this.
Even with Maeve, even with Inara, even with Strix being the only sniper available, SK, I mean, Makoa, Cassie, Genos, Buck, like, you could literally throw any other champion in. Maybe not any, maybe not Willow, maybe not Vivian, although you could potentially make it work. Those 4 are usually strong enough on their own to just carry the game. And how you get the Bomb King, like, that is a solid lineup.
So then between Splyce and SK, these two lineups, whose draft are you favoring?
Honestly, I have to give this one to SK. I mean, it's just too much good, too much strong, and especially for what they have with their team players, the way that they go, this fits them very well.
All right. This is Game 5. Once again, second set of the day and the last set of the day. North America showing out. So let's get to it.
Well, both teams putting rosters together that are daunting and look devastating if things go their way. Game 5, again, in our doubleheader for North America. It was quite an unexpected, I think, showcase for Splyce. We knew something good was going to happen. We didn't know it would be 2 Game 5s for both of their sets and impressive performances throughout the way, making them look like they've never missed a beat being in the PPL.
And now you got to bring momentum into the conversation. At this point, Splyce were up 2-0, but now they're starting to feel this one slip away. SK Gaming have brought it back 2 maps in a row. Splyce have their pick of the litter on Splitstone. Photo finish.
Yeah.
Ended in a loss there. They'll have another pick here in Frozen Guard. They have the only sniper this time around, but I think at a cost of, you know, very comfortable picks for SK Gaming and Shady Shades Cassie and Wi-Fi's Makoa.
And I mean, I like, I like going with a sniper. And I think Shadow on the Zen has felt comfortable. Zone on the Maeve has felt comfortable. There's nobody that looks just off to me. I just feel there's a lot of room to be abused by the buck here with the Master Riding, and Vocal is pressure on the Bomb King running Cauterize yet again because there's no shields, and it's just so much more confirmable as far as his damage.
And it's looking like half shell here from Wi-Fi as well. Running a little bit of Barrier Reap for some cooldown reduction on the shield. When it's hit, Shadow almost first blooded there. Wi-Fi straight to the objective. Holding it down, but first blood will confirm and fall for Splyce.
And Shady Shades, though, trading out and getting the double kill. And now, instead of it being the Zen or the Maeve that can snowball this, it's the Cassie who can do so. Rakata obviously has to hit a big shot, but it's going to be Bidey who cleans him up, and that's the problem. I mean, SK Gaming have all the tools in the toolkit. They can even send Makoa back there. It'd be just as devastating as a buck.
Shady says, thanks for the high ground as he slays Vayne, standing proudly atop his wall. SK Gaming, 90% and climbing here. The first objective look like it's going to be going their way. Ozone taken down again, and he definitely has not taken over the game. We saw Maeve taking over some of these games at the Masters Land recently.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of concern around Maeve, right? I mean, she's been banned and picked. Nearly 100% pick ban rate in these games, and hasn't shown up. It hasn't been as devastating and as crucial to lineups as I've seen the buck be for Moonchopper on the side of Renegades, and also for Bidey on the side of SK. This buck has been a crucial element against Splyce, and it makes you wonder, you know, Rakata had a decent game on it. I mean, do you just always go away from it? Do you try to play it? Do you take it away?
There's a couple of things with Maeve, right? She has not had her time in the sun yet, so she is largely a new champion for all of these DPS players. However, you look at someone like Drogos who gets buffed, comes back into the meta, you have Bugsies, you have Fishekos, you have even Mewtwo's, guys that have played Drogos way back in the day and just have that get back right on the horse. Maeve is not really that way. No one's been, I don't think, a Maeve wave unless somebody picks up Rinsig or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no one that's really done it super heavy before.
That's a pretty funny Maeve name that you mentioned there. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think Buck is a good example of a champion who a lot of people have played and has had moments, had some very big moments, and you know has gone in and out. And this style has been around. It just hasn't been as on blast as it has been now. And Rakata really getting silenced by this shield. We've seen him pick up Wrecker before, but saving his shots this time around for Bidey when he gets exposed, just not enough to clean him up.
So much damage reduction. Quick 1-2 punch there on a Shady Shades. The headshot followed up with the daggers is going to be good for one, but SK still making a little bit of progress here and there. They've got to get up closer to this choke point here if they want to have a real shot at this. I don't know if they have time left on the clock enough to lose a fight here. Bidey goes down. Shady Shades is on his way back, and Vocal falls as well. SK are in an awkward spot right now.
And I mean, the benefit of the sniper here too, especially, is on the defensive end. There's so little ways, so many awkward opportunities to find an actual opening onto him that you kind of have to create. You have to go and you have to be a little aggressive. You need a moment to somehow appear. And I'm not sure if SK Gaming are going to have that just randomly appear. It's going to be something that Bidey does, maybe something that Wi-Fi does with the shell, maybe an Ancient Rage that buys some time. But if you just stand there and let Rakata shoot, he's proven he can aim.
Big old shot onto Shady Shades. Or in Vocal, excuse me, forces him out.
My God.
Go ahead and correct myself as well. One on a Shady Shades for good measure. And it has to be Shadow or somebody getting in there to move on these kills, clean them up. Ozone, this is literally one, like, pounce in, reset it, pounce, and then just prowl your way out. Like, it's such a quick, easy kill for you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to follow up on these early shots and damage that Rakata is able to find.
I think we're seeing him make an adjustment, though, because he did die early on to Bidey. He died early on in this round. He found himself in an unfortunate spot. I think he got stunned there by the Grumpy Bomb, but from a overall standpoint, I feel like he eased up. He backed up a little bit, said, I need to stay alive. I need to be a threat for my team on the field rather than committing and dying. And his KDA has improved since then. 9-2 with eliminations and kills combined. Cauterize 2 already on the board for him. And no Wrecker, notably, against the half-shell Makoa.
Yeah. But half-shell Makoa wants you to kill his shield, because then that's how you leverage Barrier Reef. If not, it's a 16-second cooldown, and it can be rough to wait it out. But hopefully you've got enough targets to shoot at, and that's just what half shell is. It's a tough decision that has to be made, kind of instance by instance.
Well, proving valuable here. That shield will stay alive and keep them in a great spot. It was really hard to follow up, and actually, after that follow-up, Splyce looked like they maybe have to get a little bit more defensive than they wanted, but Vayne and Ozone clean up a couple of kills onto the flankers there. Bitey in the back line gets beat in that 1v1, and Ozone has turned his game around. 10 streak for him.
Midnight canceled out here by the Scout. You'll be able to kind of bootleg your way to some vision. You'll be able to see the champions, but not the map around you. Wi-Fi gets the turnaround kill onto Shadow and Splyce. They win a fight, but they fall apart during the cleanup. There's a nice little kill onto Bitey. I don't think even he saw that much damage coming.
And just great awareness from Shady Shade. She just hits the blast shot, make sure she has the anti-heal. Pokes her a little bit. Ricotta finds a great shot onto Invocal to send the Bomb King back to base. 78% for Splyce now. Here's the Ancient Rage. Wi-Fi just swinging his anchor for nobody. And they say, all right, you do that, but we'll be over here, buddy. Ozone with a nice pounce, looking for another one, but Bitey comes in and just front lines for him. Says, nope, you can't take down my front line, but Splyce say, okay, we'll just take your objective.
Bring it back the good old-fashioned way. No comeback mechanic in play, Ricotta. To hit one of these shots here, not finding the connections. Bitey gets one Invocal. And the rest of SK will shut down this initial aggression off of the payload capture here. Not a lot of ultimates to work with. Splyce I have a tough time kick-starting this push once again, and Vocal's way out in front. He's feeling himself at this point.
He really is.
Getting a lot of kills going.
He's spraying mid-fight with a Zen and a Maeve staring at him. That is feeling yourself if I've ever seen it. Luminary Makoa is nothing to be trifled with as well. 740 nearby is the number. Quite a lot for this, and he's got a great weapon that's going to contribute a lot. And you got to say Wi-Fi, not a lot out of that Ancient Rage except survival. Finding kills on that usually is pretty standard. So maybe not as much out of the Turtle as they wanted.
Yeah, it's a different style for sure. A little bit more defensive here. He's not necessarily the win condition. He's just going to go for as many hooks as possible. Nothing like Rampage or anything like that in the loadout as well, which really makes that Ancient Rage super impactful.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have Shadow with the Spite, you have a Dread Serpent, you have Stun, you have Seismic Crash. So many things that can actually CC him now that he's not running Leviathan. It's a risk, man.
Shady Shades gets one there, 108. SK running the table right now on Splyce. Not safe on their side of the map, in their spawn. Wow, in between the rock and the hard place.
I like what I'm seeing here from Invocal, man. I like the presence of mind he has. He gets taken down there, but they're zoning far. And you could expect that. War Doom 13 streak. Has he continued his not dying situation? I don't think 13's enough.
Did he die in that Splitstone game? During that really awkward start to that round where they've had the convergence in a corner?
I would imagine. I don't know.
He may have.
War Doom has not died now since they started winning games. So in the last 2 and now 3 games, War Doom has not died at all. Wow, that is that's a hell of a stat. I don't know if we've ever seen that from anyone.
Certainly is. And I mean, look at what Envy were able to do to Crimson from Burrito on this map in particular. They just absolutely gunned for him and no one else. Maybe Splyce tried doing something like that. I mean, having
it's different with a Genos versus a Maldamba.
Live for 3 games in a row. You got to find an answer.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just Abby normal. I think you'll win a lot of games if your support never ever dies, and especially if he's Luminary, because that means the damage amp is just always up on you. So really giving a great performance on his debut for SK Gaming. You can't ask for anything better, setting records here in the PPL. And Splyce don't really care about that at all because it's all their debuts for PPL in general, and they want to win. They're 1 game away from doing it.
Crowder needs to start finding shots here pretty soon, or SK are just going to win this fight by default. The 4v5 here finds one onto Bitey, but so much damage reduction, gets one onto Shady. He's starting to get some value now, but SK come through with 3 quick ones and a defense.
And it's just you just have that pause, and that break in your DPS is what really hurts it. It's nice burst, especially when you hit the headshot, but Ricotta is doing a lot with a little, I think, against this very mobile, very bursty, very tanky team on the side of SK Gaming.
It's the 5% damage reduction. They're like, all right, we can't die.
But he's got the 15% damage boost.
He's boost.
He's running ambush.
Point spawning in 15 seconds.
The math checks out. I think that's the key. 0-0 and 15, War Doom.
This is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Also, he's been 0-0 a lot. He's not had a lot of kills either. I would wager that he's got under 5. I'm going to give myself 7 kills in the total of those 3 games as well.
Yeah, he's been playing very, very safe, but realizing that, you know.
Is this pro supporting? Is this it?
He's changing the game.
Is this what it means?
War Doom. Hashtag changing the game.
Wow. And now he's gunning for those support titles, you know? Now he's competing with Bird and Spunky and Jera and Cuss. This will be interesting here. Ambush. Big shot. And that burst is enough. Ricotta finds the angle on the Shady Shades. Flashbang. They're going in big. Splyce want to turn this around. And he gets in the big shot onto Invocal. Can he find Bitey? He hits it the no-scope, but Bitey cleans it up with a headshot onto the sniper.
Just too tanky, and SK Gaming are still in the lead on the objective. Splyce struggling to just convert their victories into anything. They've got an R parked on the objective. Shadow comes through with the spike. Big stun there, but again, nothing. Splyce need to convert on these massive ultimates.
But Ozone stays alive, and for me, that's a big win. The fact that you just keep Ozone alive. Wardoom is still alive. He has not died. So still the support somewhere on the side of SK Gaming, and that somewhere isn't over the rainbow. It's on the objective now because they've got control. It's Aspect the last man standing. Splyce not looking too hot right now.
That was just
where'd that go wrong?
That was such a winnable fight there. They get nothing from their flankers. Ozone and Shadow have got to start finding frags. Ricotta's putting good damage onto this back line. They've got 3 members stunned. There is opportunity there for these flankers to capitalize on. It's just not happening.
To me, this just looks like a really tried and true style of play that's not too flashy. I don't think this beats G2, Renegades. I don't think this beats Envy the way SK played today. But it's just so consistent, man. And the way Bitey switched up onto this, it's just looking like Splyce are sometimes hitting huge and sometimes not showing up at all. But on the course of the day, that's a B+ for me, and that's a hell of a good performance from going from like a D- for where they were.
I want to take a look at some slash lines at this point and see, you know, how these flankers are able to perform. 10-6 for Ozone, 6-9 for Shadow. I think that's probably where you have the most room for improvement. 0-20 at this stage. I mean, you got 2 flankers.
Well, who's saying let's kill Wardoom? Who's saying that? Anyone?
Whoever the end-game leader is.
Because, I mean, that seems like a job for someone, right? I mean, maybe SK are just doing so well at forcing him away and saying if any Mave or if any, you know, Zen shows up, we get a hook, we back off, we keep Wardoom alive at all costs.
Try and find it, and they do have a pretty defensive composition with the half shell.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi's not going to be, for the most part, diving too deep away from his support, from his back line. He's just trying to hook people in, keep everyone safe for the time being, and let the boys do the rest. They have 3 DPS, 3 different ways to win the fight. Invocal taking a lot of initial damage. The setup here from SK. Shadow's just able to tee off into the back of a couple skulls.
Yeah, they found Aspect, Nick. They found Wi-Fi here, but Vayne also finding Shady Shades. That was a big one. Wi-Fi commits, finds the healer. Still Wardoom. Not taken down, but still, I mean, that was a big play. Almost turned into a push here.
Awkward in and out there from Xin as well, unable to get any killing blows, and converting is the big name of the game here, especially when you're looking at characters like Bitey, who are, if you don't burst them down, they're probably not going to go down at all. 14 left for SK to get close to this one. They're here as 5. They don't have a lot of ultimates to work with, and if they spend anything more, they could put themselves in a really awkward spot in the final round of this set.
Ooh, and Shady has an awkward time for his Luminary Mark to run off because he gets hit by Ricotta and then has to wait about 6 seconds before he can get back. Can't fight anymore. They get Cassie off the board. Ricotta again showing up big. It's another 3-3, guys. And no best of 3s, no best of 1s. It's really just best of 1 round that's going to decide who gets this one.
It all comes down.
Big plays by Vayne.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal today. Aspect, Vayne, the guys that are, you know, not noobs to the PPL here, have been really, really strong today.
I mean, 8-9 for him. It's been a rough one for them. Ozone, I mean, as quiet as it kept, really had a positive impact on this matchup. Although dying, although not getting to Wardoom, he's done what he needs to do, and they're clearly fighting around the aspect of leaving Wardoom alive and just being willing to take those matchups.
Ozone's going to be able to go straight through this half shell without even worrying about damaging it. Just pounce twice on through. A lot of rejuvenates being picked up at this stage of the game. It all comes down to this 3-3, 2-2 split in this best of 5. We've gone the distance here today in both sets. A lot of initial damage onto Bitey.
Wow.
And it's going to be good. I love that play.
Great play. They spite him and they say, just stay there. Let me finish him off with you. And they get Bitey off the battlefield. It's 45. Time to make the move. Shadow One slice of the flames, gets rid of the bombs. Invokal doesn't know where he's coming from. Big 850 shot whiffs, and now he's got another one, goes into the counter, playing defensive. 42% for Splyce on the point.
Push this fight. They got a 4v5 advantage. They just do nothing with it. They're sitting on their laurels. Now Bitey's back, and Splyce effectively completely lost that initial lead. Massive king bomb to the back line. SK Gaming capitalize on their momentum.
Triple kill here for Invokal. Shady Shades sends them into dust. And it looks like SK Gaming, with that play right there, are going to take this match. I don't think Shadow's going to get back to base. They're trying. Wardoom 26 streak, and he says, let me make it 27. He gets the kill. He hasn't died in 3 games. SK Gaming setting records, taking wins. What a show. What a performance this set was to finish off our second day of the PPL Summer Split.
Resilience from some of the oldest veterans here in the PPL. 3 games in a row. No deaths for Wardoom. I mean, it's great stuff there. And Splyce, they're looking like a new team. I think that's a rookie mistake there to not push that advantage. They're shaking. You know, it's the franchise first win. I understand that there's a lot of nerves going on there, but and cut and dry, I think that was a mistake not to push that 4v5 advantage.
And it's, you know, Splyce looked good when they needed to. They look bad in moments where, you know, it's just a gamble. You don't have that always going your way. Overall, I say Splyce have to hang their heads high here after their performance. And SK Gaming, lucky a little bit to get out of that, but good performances in that last game. And shout outs to Wardoom. I haven't seen that done. I don't know if we ever will see that done.
Somebody's got to add up the streaks from all 3 games.
For sure. Great set, man. And we'll send it back to the desk for one last roundup.
And congratulations to SK Gaming for their victory in that set, Game 5, and to Wardoom for just staying alive.
I feel like Bitey has probably already put together the streaks just to have that as like the, look what we did in week 1. Just to have that ready, like not even as a glue, but just like in case anyone was questioning whether Wardoom would make a good transition as a support.
Because once they kicked it into gear, they stayed in gear.
Yeah, 100%. Like that was, we hit 6, and that gear shift never moved once again.
And then you look at the plays, especially in that very last interaction there, Shady Shades on the Cassie had just a great selection of the targets on Splyce. And once they went down, they weren't coming back up. And Invokal on a comfort pick of his also supplying that power.
And being able to flex around, I mean, especially towards the tail end of that, I think is when everything got explosive from the Bomb King, just being able to push it forward, finding the kills left and right. And again, the flexibility of the team on both sides, I think, is really what was giving the strength. But it was just the I think, like you said, the comfort pick, having something that you know you can play really well, you don't have to worry. Bitey as well was one that really kind of stood out to me just because, again, I'm kind of used to seeing him go for the front lines. I'm used to seeing that, and we've seen him flex around on some things. I think I've seen him play Willow. I've seen him play Skye. I think I've seen him play Vivian. But being able to see him have a great performance on the Buck was refreshing.
Well, I feel like a lot of the players that for a while were just frontline players, then way back in the day were players of other types.
They were the carries.
Yeah, everyone's kind of done it all at some point. So depending on what part you come in the scene and you've been watching him, maybe you forget about that. Oh yeah, he's been doing frontline. All right, yeah, he likes that other stuff too. And just really solid job.
And it gives him that kind of flexibility because, I mean, like you had said, I think during the last segment and just looking at it, you can choose, okay, well, this actually works really well against their comp, even though this person hasn't seen play, or this person works well here, even if they have been seeing a lot of play, just because of the way it goes and the way we can play this and kind of flex around it. Again, it was very different. I want to say Renegade's Buck versus Bitey's Buck. Definitely played in kind of a separate way, but still worked both times.
Yep. But this was just day 2 of what we have for you in PPL throughout the week. Coming up tomorrow, it's our Fnatic doubleheader facing off against Mousesports and Na'Vi. And after that, the G2 doubleheader with Renegades and Envy. And I agreed with what Evan said and the casters were saying. I think Splyce has a lot to be proud of. And excited to see what they do within the rest of the regular season. But remember, everyone has one thing on their mind. They want to get to HRX in November. And guess what? You can be there as well. Just go to highresexpo.com to purchase your tickets, where we will have the Paladins World Champion and our console wars, as well as our Smite content with the World Championship and their console.
I'm glad I know I get to be there too.
Yeah.
Whether or not I have to buy a ticket, I'm going. Hopefully I'll get in, but it'll be fun. That's going to be a great event.
Well, everyone, it has been a blast here on the desk. We're going to close things out and actually send it over to Rain Day, who's standing by with an interview.
Thanks, Gabby. I am here with the frontline main himself, or the Inara cosplayer here. It is Wi-Fi or Wiffle. Let's get this straight. Wi-Fi, Wiffle. What do you want us to call you?
I mean, I prefer it being pronounced about 6 different ways. I think it's always the best that way, so people can always ask me a question.
Okay, all right. So you're setting up your interviews. You got more to talk about. Piano in the background. You guys are playing some beautiful music, maybe some victory music after taking the set, going 1-0. What's the morale like for the team, the environment inside of SK Gaming?
Everyone was pretty ecstatic. We were pretty much just happy that we didn't give Splyce the first one. We like to keep that tradition going.
So everyone's just grouping up together saying, guys, don't be the ones to do it. Splyce, though, talk about these guys. You are a roster that is relatively young. You've got Invoco, who is the hot young talent meme. He's growing up in age, but you've worked with a young roster here and had struggles. Splyce, 2 games, 2 best-of-5s, 2 losses, but a young team with promise. What would you say to those guys heading into their first summer split in the PPL? What words of advice and wisdom would you give to them?
They're playing really well. I mean, they're a new team, so I'm not sure. They had some weird drafts in our last sets, so I would probably look at that a bit more. They might get a bit of nerves as well on their on those last points or whatever. That might be a big thing for them. But you only really can improve that though with more time playing, I guess. I mean, they had us for the first 2 maps pretty much. We had some pretty bad drafts, bad plays. So I mean, they played really well. So hopefully they don't play well the rest of the season though, so we can win.
You're wishing fire and brimstone onto your enemies, Wi-Fi or Wiffle.
Pretty much.
That's not very kind, but you know what? It is honest, and I think they'll appreciate that advice as well. Wrapping it up, that last moment you had in the Splitstone Quarry game, the reanimate that actually won the point, it looked like Zen was going to step on. You know, what was going through your head at that moment? Were you surprised to get the win off of just that?
I was super surprised. I mean, I thought we lost it. I also hit a clutch right click on a Strix like cross map during that same time, which I don't know. I didn't think I was gonna be able to survive there. I was really surprised that we came out and won that. We're really lucky. I think it was the Zen didn't get the touch at the last minute.
So let's get a comment on this. One of our stat guys in the back, I'm calling a stat guy, is really helping us run the show, directing the show. But also, Ward Doom, we noticed it. He was on like a 3-game no dying streak. Did you guys in your team comms notice that? Was he talking about it? What was the atmosphere around that?
He wasn't talking about it, but we noticed it for sure. It was very. I mean, I guess it fits his playstyle even better than tanks. He barely died in tanks, and healer he's playing even more passive. So we could lose the game, but he could still have 0 deaths. It's pretty insane.
You guys lose 4-0, and he still has no deaths. Well, you know what? It showed that it worked out for you guys, especially with the Genos Luminary Marks always up on somebody. So that was a great boon for you guys. Congratulations on your victories today, Wi-Fi, Mr. Wiffle. We look forward to seeing you in the rest of the PPL, and have a good one, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, well, that's going to be it for the PPL today. That was Wiffle joining with me. SK Gaming take the win. And Splyce, although their doubleheader doesn't go their way with Renegades grabbing the first set, take them both to the best of 5s. That's it for the PPL, but we'll see you all tomorrow starting off at 3 p.m. Eastern time for that. More PGS in the morning. As always, friends, never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see you all next time.